Cohasset Select Board meeting of Tuesday, March 10th at 7 p.m. We are meeting live at 91 Sawyer Street, Wilcott Commons in person. We're also streaming live on Facebook, Cohasset 143 TV. And if you'd like to join on the Zoom link, the link is on the backside of the agenda. This meeting is also being recorded. So can I have a call to order, please?
Paul Grady, present.
David Frog, present.
Ellen Marr, present. We have a quorum. I'd like to invite everyone to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment? Anything that's not on the agenda? Nope. Anything online, Kevin?
No one has requested to speak, so.
Okay, we have people viewing?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. So the first thing up is MEMA Department of Public Works to join the state's MEMA mutual aid program to be able to request or provide aid to other communities. So I believe Mr. Pratt is here to discuss that. You know the drill, name and address.
Glenn Pratt, King Street, Emergency Management Director. I am delighted this is finally on the agenda. My friends at Mass Emergency Management asking me for almost 20 years to get this signed. There are probably less than 5 communities in the entire state that are not signed on to this agreement. And it's very similar to any other mutual aid agreement. You can ask other agencies in other towns, other municipalities for help. If they can send it, they will. They ask us for help. If we can send it, we will. There is no thing that ties our hands, but it is another opportunity to make it easier for other municipalities to send us help if we need it. And we have not gotten a call from another community to help them, which we probably would have anyway, even though we didn't sign this. But it would be delightful to have it signed.
And our neighbors are all
I think there's 3 communities in Massachusetts that are not signed.
okay.
And it's not a new. It's been going on for 20 years at least.
Okay.
They've been asking me about it, so I would recommend we sign it.
Okay. Questions?
I don't have any questions. I reviewed all the materials in the packet that was given to us, so I'm comfortable with having us sign it.
Oops. Sorry. Mr. Grady, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I don't this time.
Okay. So it just formalizes the agreement. Like you said, we render, we provide service and need to other communities. I mean, we have a formal MOU for public safety. So
Right. It's very similar.
very, very similar situation. I don't know if you were on the call, but during the blizzard, we did get an offer from Situate if we needed equipment. So it's that kind of scenario that you're
It
talking
just
about.
formalizes it and locks it down for everybody.
Okay. So I believe we have,
Last one there.
it's the last one. Yeah. Okay. So may I have a motion to approve Cohasset entering into the state's MEMA mutual aid program?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, next up is select board position with Ms. Rollins's departure, resignation from the board. It opens up the clerk position. Clerk's primary responsibility is to assist the administrative team in the submission and accuracy of meeting minutes to keep us on track. So I would like to nominate David Farag.
So moved. I was second.
Second. Do you have any comments?
No, I'll take it on. Feels like deja vu, but that's okay.
Thank you. It's much appreciated. Okay. So can I have a vote to appoint David Farag as the clerk?
Paul Grady, aye.
Ellen Marr, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, David. I appreciate it very much. Okay. Next up is a public hearing for the South Shore Playhouse. Please bear with me while I read this. We are opening the public hearing. Cohasset Select Board, acting as a local licensing authority, will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 at 7:15. We're a little ahead of schedule. 91 Sawyer Street, Wilcott Commons, Cohasset, Mass. To consider the application under the new Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 12D, to allow South Shore Playhouse Associates, Inc. DBA Social Music Circus to trade in its MGL Chapter 138, Section 12, on-premises wine and malt license to convert it to an MGL Chapter 138, Section 12, on-premises all alcoholic beverage license. The proposed manager is Ross Roncelli. The facility is located at 130 Sawyer Street, Cohasset, Mass. Includes a 2,300-seat performance area covered by a tent and seats plus 4 concession stands, 5 permanent buildings. The area of sale and consumption is fenced to prevent consumption in parking lot off premises or by non-ticket holders. 2 main entrances and exits to the facility are accessed from the Sawyer Street parking lots. Public is invited to offer input on this proposal in writing. I don't believe we received any. Nope. Okay. Or in person at this hearing tonight. You can also, anyone watching can also make public comment. So can I have a motion to open up this public hearing?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the public hearing is now officially opened. We have someone? Okay, please come up. Name and address for the record and your connection.
Yep. My name is Ross Roncelli. My address is 1399 Quincy Shore Drive, actually, but I'm the general manager at the South Shore Music Circus.
Okay. Okay, so this is a relatively new change in Massachusetts general law, and it allows a malt and wine license holder to convert to an all alcohol on premise license holder for the duration of however long you hold your license. If there's a change in condition or whatever, it reverts back to a malt and wine. Like if you left or they sold the facility. Okay. It's your estimation this is going to help business how?
Yeah, for us, every season, we try to take a look at just, what our customers want and, and what kind of things that were being asked of us. And when they had the special town meeting back in November, that kind of brought this up, it sort of put a spotlight on it for us to take a look and see if we thought that was something we could benefit from. And for us, it's really about customer selection and just making sure that, if people are coming out to a concert, that they're able to have the products that they expect from other places, that they're able to get at other places, and just what they ideally looking for. We'd rather they come to us and we're able to appropriately serve them than have them at home or whatever before they come out and us having to maybe take on, figuring out how much somebody's had or something like that. We feel like it's a safer route for us to kind of be fully in charge of that.
Question?
I was going to say, with this change, hopefully it'll be positive for the music circus, and hopefully you won't be on an episode of Bar Rescue 2 years from now with this. So, like I said, it's a big change to change this type of product. So I just hope you have the appropriate menus that'll go along with it for the people, and then obviously fast service and what have you.
Without a doubt. Line speeds and things like that are something that I take very seriously, and I try to always monitor. And it's something that we plan on taking on slowly and gradually. It's not something where everything drastically changes overnight. We want to make sure that anything that we do implement, we can do in the right way. Like I said, it's about customer satisfaction, right? So if all it's going to do is slow us down and make things worse, it's not something we would be pursuing. We want to make sure we handle it the right way.
Would you be enhancing any of your workers, in other words, for having more bartenders or more security or anything like that based upon this?
Yeah, potentially depending on, based on if we have the approval, then we'll kind of decide just how aggressively which roads we want to go down. But yeah, we'll make sure that we're always appropriately staffed. As it is now, all of our concession staffs are TIP certified and go through that type of training. We would obviously continue that. And if increasing staff, it depends on the space and where we can and cannot. But yeah, we would, if I don't want to do anything that either slows things down or makes the customer experience worse. If that were the case, we'd probably pump the brakes and try to figure out how to fix it. Because at the end of the day, that's really what this is about. It's not necessarily about like me wanting a specific product or anything like that. It's about the masses. Yeah.
Mr. Grady?
Your explanation was very well put and altruistic. You did forget one thing.
Okay.
Look how we'd like to maximize revenue.
Of course,
I would want to.
of course, that's always part of the goal. And, and it does allow for that for sure. But to the other points, though, it only allows for that if we do it correctly and we do it,
Right.
Efficiently. So
That's all I had to say.
fair enough. Yeah.
So, the facilities there are on the rather small side, so I can't imagine you, other than the main concession stand by the entrance to the facility, having significant amount of space to, put a bar. Is it gonna be, like self-serve? Is it a nip that's gonna go out, or you haven't figured that out yet?
I mean, it's definitely things that we're kind of kicking around all of the ideas. We've ventured down the idea of like the canned cocktail route too, which right now our license does not allow us to do, right? So going that route probably is the easiest transition.
Okay,
And then anything from there, it would, like you said, it would kind of depend on the space and how we would be able to lay everything out. And it probably would require a little bit of an overhaul on our side, like inside the stands and things like that. And it's something that we're willing to take on, but obviously you have to make sure that we are able to first.
yeah, okay. All right, any comments from the public, Kevin? No, any comments? Anyone? Ferris, no? Okay. So, can I have a motion to approve, the change in the on-premise all alcoholic beverage license for this, South Shore Playhouse Associates, Inc., PBA South Shore Music Circus?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So-
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Keep us posted. I think we'd be interested to see how it changes your business model.
Without a doubt,
Yeah, okay. Great. Okay, next up, warrant review. We're running early. All right,
It's great.
okay. I lost my copy of the warrant. Okay, Ms. Laurie, are you gonna take us through the warrant?
Sure, so, I don't know if you want to go through the entire warrant, quickly, or articles one by one. I know we wanted to recognize the citizens petition this evening.
Yep,
We're not voting this evening because the advisory is meeting tomorrow. We're going to ask them to vote before you give your final votes.
right.
So the first, if you want me to go through the,
Well, is there anything significantly different in any of the, I'm gonna say, the articles?
yep, a few differences from the last time we looked last week were the amount populated, of course, for the transfer of funds, article number 7, transfer of funds to OPEB and capital stabilization. I just want to highlight that the transfer of funds to OPEB is 615,000 and the transfer of funds to capital is $2.1 million and change.
And the capital transfer is plus 2.5% over last year.
It is.
Okay,
It is
and the 615 is in keeping with the,
the financial policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay,
The other advancement we've had in the warrant is we had capital budget Monday evening or Monday morning, actually. They were able to vote several items here in the chart. Which is article number 8. There were 20 items. They voted all but 3. And all are positive vote. The 3 outstanding are the Paul Pratt Library exterior doors. I know that the library facilities team also petitioned CPC for those as well. So I don't know if they're going to be funded by capital or CPC.
Right.
Nevertheless, they're
okay,
and the other holds are the replacement of engine number 3 for the fire department. The district-wide security enhancements for the schools is also a hold. We decided, and it's not updated yet, but we decided to postpone the line painting and paving of the Sawyer Street parking lot to special town meeting. So be funded in the fall for a renovation in the spring. And the Sawyer Street basketball court repainting is coming off and going to be funded by the recreation revolving account.
okay, so the basketball court repaint is revolving. And is number 20, the line painting and paving of the parking lot, is that
That's coming off.
right?
That'll be an ask at special next year. Due to all the construction over there, and camp starting probably right when the pavilion stops, there's not gonna be time to pave the
Oh,
parking
okay,
lot.
okay,
So we're gonna push it
Okay.
off.
okay. I just wasn't sure if it was like because this was too much. It's like the
No.
same pot of money. It's timing. Okay.
It's just time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Article 9, we populated, the FY 23, 24, 25 excise tax number. That's $24,016.25 from free cash to the waterways fund. That represents 50% of the, boat excise tax that's been collected. We're playing catch up on that line item.
Okay.
And the next line item that was populated was to fund, teacher early retirements. It's a one-time cost at $84,156 funded by free cash to the school budget. Seems- There were any other changes that we're not gonna go through tonight with, the appropriate people present.
Okay, great. All right, so then first up, new article number 25, citizens petition noise control bylaw. Do we have anyone?
Fran.
Is Mr. Mullins online? And there are no other petitioners here for that? Okay. All right, well, I mean, in order for us to make an informed vote before this goes to press, they should come in and talk to us about it. Okay, so then we'll move on to Article 26, Citizens Petition Wheelwright Park, and I see many people are here from Open Space and Rec, so welcome and thank you for coming. Do you have a spokesperson?
Myself and Adam.
Okay, so please bring up a chair. Just in your name and address for the records.
Virginia Leclerc, 82 Pond Street.
Adam Norman, 88 Doan Street.
Great, thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay, so we have the text of your citizens petition. If you want to just give us a little background and state your case. We're not, as Michelle indicated, we're not voting tonight. We're waiting. And you're going to advisory, I believe, tomorrow night.
That's correct.
So we take guidance from them.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you for having us here tonight. I'm here with other members of the Open Space Committee as well, and others are joining us online as well. So the petition is from the Open Space Committee. It's to affirm the Wheelwright family's intent and restriction of development in Wheelwright Park, to see if the town will vote to formally affirm and uphold the original intent of the Wheelwright family expressed in the will, so that the park shall be used solely for passive public recreation and preserved in its natural state, and that no further development, construction, or installation of structures inconsistent with the family's stated intent, including but not limited to any cell phone towers, telecommunication facilities, or other commercial, industrial, or municipal structures shall be permitted on any portion of Wheelwright Park, and or taken any action thereto. So that is the purpose of our article. And the requested action for the article is to affirm the Wheelwright family's original intent that the land now comprising Wheelwright Park be preserved solely for passive recreation and natural open space, prohibiting the site and construction of leasing of a cell phone tower, telecommunications facility, municipal building, or other development inconsistent with the family's stated intent for a natural park, public park, and recognize and uphold the trust obligations recorded in the 1917 deed and rooted in the Wheelwright wills. So we are here tonight after over a year of correspondence with the town on this matter of the cell phone. We are here, unfortunately, with the citizens petition because of the lack of information that we were able to get from the town over the course of the year on this subject. The Open Space Committee had no one come to our committee and present to us that this was a possibility. Past members or current members do not have any record of, before this going to town meeting, ever being presented or approached to about this. And as a board, we found this process to be highly unusual that that this would have gone without transparency. So there was no abutter notifications, no postings at Wheelwright Park. The caretaker of Wheelwright Park was not aware of this. And in contact with the town clerk, there was no map in the town meeting warrant showing the location of this filed within the town. So the board is of the impression that that due process and clear intent has not been made. And we wanted to come and state that we feel it's very much within our purview as the Open Space and Recreation Committee to publicly state that this intent of land to be used as a cell phone tower is not something that we support or recognize as appropriate use for a park. We are not against public safety, nor do we deny that cell phone reception is not great in that area. But after many attempts to seek alternatives and to ask the town for alternatives, that none have been presented to us. We are also concerned because we have not seen any kind of, we've requested for other type of investigations into other technologies since 2022. There's been a lot of technologies that have come onto market that do not require a cell phone tower, such as Starlink, 5G. There's other ways of gaining cell phone reception within dead zones that do not require a 160-foot monopole, 30 trees to be cut down, over 2 acres of land to be disturbed. So we've asked for this parcel of land to be reconsidered.
Yeah, the other thing I'll add is that when this came to town meeting in December 2022, town manager presented this as a parcel of land that was tucked away in Wheelwright Park. So we were under the impression that it was not going to be highly visible to the people recreating on the trails, that it wouldn't disturb the trails, that there wouldn't be any infrastructure involved in disturbing access to the park. Also, it was stated that any further action would have to come back to town meeting. So in order to get a lease, find a carrier, this was quoted, this is only the first bite of moving the project forward. But we understand that the leases have already been signed, that construction is imminent, and no town meeting has ever involved any other update on this project. And the other issue is that this was presented as land coming out of the park for this cell phone tower, and then a no net loss policy under Article 97, a new parcel of land would be swapped that would give access to people to recreate. And the land that was proposed, it turns out, is not viable at all. It's basically a swamp on 3A, and it can't be used at all for any public use. So for that reason, we don't think that the original case for this park and the conditions such as the no net loss policy have not really been met.
Furthermore, access to the park will be severely disrupted during construction. This still has to go to Conservation Commission, and per your contract with Wireless Communications, a building permit is still required. So we have great concerns about the crossing that's going to be required and the amount of trees that are going to have to be cut down to access off Forest Street, this parcel. The path is going to have to be significantly widened. A new culvert will have to be installed if Concom approves this. And as you go into the park, it's going to completely change the feel of the park for recreation purposes. And we're also very concerned about the 3A property that was purchased with the intent of a fire station. And then through mitigation, it came down to open space as being an potential offer of the land. As Adam said, we do not feel like that is an equivalent source of the land. We regret that we're at this point having this conversation. We've tried, I've asked the Board of Selectmen's office if we could have a meeting with the Board of Selectmen prior to this, if we could be on the agenda. I asked twice, that those emails went unanswered. But we have a lot of questions still, as a committee. When we've talked with the public in general about this, people are not aware of this. They do not feel like they've been notified, and they're not aware of this cell phone tower going into one of their beloved parks. They consider it to be visual pollution, and we have questions about, if the trees will be replaced, the 30 trees cut down, if they will be replaced, where will they go? Who gets revenue from this, from the cell phone tower? Is that revenue going to be dedicated to Wheelwright Park? Should it go through? What and how is the appropriate exchange of land going to be considered? We've sent these to Michelle, and a lot of these questions we sent to Michelle.
Okay.
And at this point in time, when we sent them, she was not able to answer most of them.
Okay. Anything else?
Mm.
No, I'll just briefly comment. If you were requesting a meeting with the select board, that message never got to me. I've been the chair for 2 years. I gladly would have put you on the agenda. I actually came to one of your meetings to meet with you, so you know me. And if you were not getting any response, I would kindly request that you always reach out to the chair of whichever board that you're looking to meet with, because we would have gladly met with you a year ago. I met with you February of 2025, and I haven't heard anything from your group until this. So, and we have had periodic updates during our select board meetings for the last 2 years on the progress of cell phone tower. Now, I know everyone doesn't, tune into select board meetings, but they are the official governance of the town of Cohasset, and the meetings are published. The meetings are published and the meeting minutes are published.
Hmm.
So, Mr. Farag, anything?
Sure. I got a few things on this. I've camped in Wheelwright Park as a scout when I was younger. Took both my boys when they were in scouts. I've taken for over a decade, I took all the tiger cubs in there for their first hike in Wheelwright Park. So I'm very well aware of all the nooks and crannies and everything in it, where the devil's chair is and the lemon squeezer and all the other things. But I think that with this, this is really a public safety improvement project, which balances both, that it improves public safety and that it also improves the park, because the entryway on the Forest Ave side is going to include some better parking, better entrances, things of that nature. I would say to some of the comments you made about transparency, the town meeting warrant, Article 11 in fall of 2022, that warrant with that article was mailed to every single household in Cohasset. So there can be nothing more transparent than that, because every single household in Cohasset was given what the article was. Going forward, this was approved by not only the town meeting by over 2/3 vote, by the select board. It had to go get legislation. It had to go through the Massachusetts House, Massachusetts Senate. It had to go to the Attorney General's office so that they could approve it as well. It's been stamped and approved by everybody except for the Pope. So
The Open Space Committee.
well, the Open Space Committee is not an adjudicatory board.
No.
It's not like the Concom or the Planning Board or the Zoning Board or things like that. Its primary mission is the policy and planning regarding the open space plan for the town. And I would just say a couple other things. And I do understand your position. I do understand, but that we have a major public safety problem where we do not have coverage in some areas of the town. And that this is going to help it, not only with the cell service that'll go on there, but the public safety ones that'll be on there. And even if you're walking in Wheelwright Park, there's not good cell service for that. Because when I would walk in there, I had a physical map, and then I had my phone bringing up the map of Wheelwright Park, and then it would drop when you're in certain places, Wheelwright Park. So if anyone gets injured in Wheelwright Park, they better hope they're in the right place, because they're not going to be able to make a phone call if they're just walking their dog or otherwise, or they better hope they're with somebody else. When it comes to, so that would be helpful. The money with the contract, I mean, that goes obviously to the town, and that the appropriateness of having a cell tower. Most of the state's public parks have cell towers, or they have equipment on their fire towers. Do any of you listen to WGBH FM? Well, that pole is in the Blue Hills. So if it wasn't appropriate to have that kind of service in there, you wouldn't be listening to WGBH or half the radio stations in Boston. Not to mention all the public safety equipment that's on it. So, like I said, with this, it was done in the right way. It was approved by everybody, including all of our state officials. And it's going to be, like I said, an improvement project, not only for public safety, but also for the people who need cell service in that end of town. And I would say historically in the park, Norfolk Conveyor also used to test radars in there. In fact, some of the remains of the radar equipment was still there, at least up until a certain point. And they used to do that, from the 1950s on. So historically, the park has been used to test what then was radar equipment. And of course, now it's cell towers. And if you go back to the original intent of parks, while we do have the original intent, if you have deed restrictions, for the most part, they have to be updated every 20 years. And in fact, the building you're in today, the original intent with the money that was left for this building was that it was supposed to be a Protestant home for people. So anybody Catholic here tonight, you shouldn't be here, because the original money that was left here was for that. So if we kept with that in the deed restriction and or the money that was given from the trust, it would be void of public policy, which would end up getting changed, and that money was able to use, which built the senior center that we're all sitting in today. So anyway, that's just a few of the things. I thank the Open Space Committee for, wanting to be a part of the discussion and dealing with the policy things. But I think with this one, since we started this process back in the fall of 2022, and now we're in 2026, I think the horse has left the barn on this one. And then finally, I would say that the actual project, as far as requiring a culvert, at best, that area is an intermittent stream. And when I went out there, it was practically clogged. So anything that's going to be done there is going to improve the flow of the water that would be there. And it would make it easier for people to access it as well. So anyway, for all those reasons, I just think you should take some of those under consumption as well.
Can I address a couple of those points?
Sure, fine.
So one thing I'd say is we're not arguing there shouldn't be a cell tower anywhere in Cohasset. We agree that cell coverage should be available to everyone at all times. We just don't think it should be put in Wheelwright Park. And we don't know that the town considered other areas. We've asked whether the transfer facility was considered. They were told that was not a viable option, but we weren't really given reasons why, whether it's proximity or elevation or location that doesn't cover the whole map. And the other issue is that the land that was supposed to be transferred in a like-for-like swap is not viable. So people voted to approve this project based on the contingency that the 2 acres of land taken from Wheelwright Park will be replaced with another park. So we thought we were getting additional parkland, and under Article 97, and come to find out that that land is not at all viable. So could another parcel of land be donated as a park in order to make up for that shortfall?
Do you want me to answer that question?
You can answer that.
Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable request, and I'm not going to say no. So why don't you let us look into it and see? I mean, we're not going to take the 2 acres back off of 3A, but let us take a look and see if there's something else that could be more viable to recreational use than what you're purporting this parcel is. I'm totally open to that.
And when we walked the site with Michelle, we had talked about, if this project does go through and it is approved, how much does the town stand to gain? And then how can we distribute some of those funds to specifically Wheelwright Park. So would there be a fund set up separately for the maintenance of Wheelwright Park and open space for as the revenue comes in for the cell phone tower?
The way I understand it, the care for Wheelwright Park as it stands is done by the DPW if something's needed. No, that's not true. So who cares for Wheelwright Park?
There is a volunteer who does it.
So
Right.
let us run that idea by council to see if legally we can divert a portion of any potential revenue into, would have to be a revolving account, Michelle,
Yep.
into a revolving account for whatever we deem to be the appropriate language, you know, daily upkeep. I don't think we could support financially that, but if there's something that I don't, you know, isn't quite catastrophic, but could use some support, let us look into that.
Because that's going to be a large sum of money that could potentially be going to just Wheelwright Park. It might not necessarily be all needed for Wheelwright Park. It could potentially also be, you know, money that's set aside for other open spaces. So open space protection, acquiring of other parcels using conservation restrictions. As you said, the deed it expires. So we want to make sure that this doesn't happen to other parcels of land that are from what we believe the intent is owned by the town, protected by the town by these deeds. So as you know, we're in the process of an open space plan update. And we want to make sure that these land that we believe that's Article 97 protected or conservation restricted is actually protected. And we don't want to see this happen again in the town. So setting aside money for this use, whether we have to hire a lawyer or we have to go get other counsel to create conservation restrictions or to put parcels into Article 97 for other land, we want to make sure that we have the ability to do that. And that's one use that the cell phone tower money could do is protect open space, not just Wheelwright Park in the future.
And the other, one of the other avenues, as you know, is the community preservation funds. Covers open space and recreation as well. So,
and that we have to go to when we're competing against other buckets of money. This would be mitigation for the actions of putting a cell phone tower in Wheelwright Park.
Okay. Mr. Grady?
I'm puzzled. I have to be honest with you. I respect everything you said, both of you. But I went through the process in this. We had the fire department here, police department here. We had at least several meetings.
That open space was never notified.
It's on the agenda. So I'm going to say that we publicize it. It's put out in the agenda that there will be a discussion. I don't know how we can reach, as David said, that we sent a mailing to each and every home. And everything was discussed and laid on the table. Now, I know at the time we were going through this, you had the open bottle, or the water bottle ban, I think was taking up a large part of your time.
And job too.
Yeah. So we analyzed everything for this board would approve it. And again, as Ellen said, it went to the legislature, the state. We had state senator, we had Joe Moschino. I mean, a number of discussions. We talked about safety. And to me, I'll be quite honest with you. I drive down the road, I see windmills on town lands. I think, windmills, and that's great because it generates energy. To me, one life saved by the placement of that tower would pay for it in perpetuity.
And we're not refuting.
That's how I look at it. And we have looked in those meetings. I know you
tell us the alternative locations that were considered. We've asked for that.
The RTF looked up on top of, I believe, what's the name of that hill up above where the storage areas are?
Oh.
Situate Hill.
Yeah.
There was a number of spots that I can't, don't quote me on it because
And do you have documentation of this that you can send us and the reasons why there's other locations?
I don't know that but I'm going to say this. I'm just going to say it again. I respect what you guys are doing. I've walked that parcel. I've gone up to scene. I went up. We did a tour of that, Michelle, on that terrible day where it was slipping all over the place. I love the woods as much as anybody. I walk my dogs there and my daughter, and that spot's in the middle of nowhere where that cell tower was going. That was kind of a struggle to get there.
It's like a
and what they're
stone's
doing
throw away
is widening out.
trail.
Yeah, it wasn't
Not
a
in
lot.
stone, so you could spit on it from the trail.
But-
It's not tucked away at all.
And why was the transfer station, which is in the same proximity, not considered?
The transfer, John, what we did,
I can't.
So,
some,
so,
have
yeah,
to
so
narrow that down,
I
right?
wasn't on the board then. What I was told, which I told you when I met with you guys last February, was that I believe it was Sergeant Detective Lennon rode around town with a cell phone. I want to say Verizon, but I'm not 100% sure it was Verizon. And they tested, and first of all, they triangulated where the outages were, and it's kind of a triangle from Sandy Beach, because we also talked at capital budget about putting a small antenna dish on the Sandy Beach bathhouse, all the way up Atlantic, Jerusalem Road to West Corner. Okay, from West Corner down North Main Street, heading south by the train station, Forest Ave, and parts of North Main Street. And they looked at the old site in Wheelwright Park of the Norfolk Conveyor radar installation, and they found, I think, that the altitude and proximity to that area the altitude of that location was good. So they looked for similar locations. I can't speak to exactly why the RTF wasn't considered, but it was looked at. And maybe we can get Detective Lennon in to speak, because I was told he was the one who rode around town, and they were pinging where the service would drop and where it wouldn't. And so they looked at, and the place that got the optimal coverage was this location in Wheelwright Park. Okay, even the Norfolk Conveyor site, the other portion of the park, left west corner, a little gray, in terms of connectivity. So it was to cover that area for public safety. And it's not just public safety, it's the school buses, it's the DPW vehicles, where the radio, they can't talk on the radio because they don't have coverage. So their cell phones don't work and the radios don't work unless we put the dish on the bathhouse at Sandy Beach. And you need to have, imagine being on a school bus with 50 children and something happens and your radio doesn't work because you don't have coverage. So,
I just can't imagine that you would make this decision without having a formal study, that Wireless Communications or whoever did not do a formal study that they presented to the town saying, here are all the other locations we considered. And that's what we're asking. Can we see this formal study? Or can you send us minutes or copies of the minutes where you said, this is the reason why Wheelwright Park is being considered, and it's the only option where the other options are no longer viable. So we'd like to see the alternatives and the report, because you're putting 160 monopole into a park. This is a huge undertaking. This is not something I'm sure you consider lightly. So we would like to see these documentations of the alternatives that were shown.
Well, I do
Study.
know that Detective Lennon did that with Ron Menard.
But
IT
there was a study that was presented and
consultants, so it was done in tandem. And what I will say, we can look into that,
we'll look into it.
but I promise you that. But again, we'll go back to what I said about, we had several, if not more, meetings where this was on the agenda. The mailing, as David said, we sent out. It was readily available for those who wanted to look. And I know people are busy, so don't get me wrong. Not everybody comes to select board meetings, and I can't say I blame them. But we only have the tools available to us to make it available. And that means posting it and putting it out on, say, the 143s or whatever we have available, since we don't have a Mariner anymore.
And I did see where you posted it as home rule petition to legislature for home rule petition, wireless communication facility, cell service improvement coverage gap, public safety communication initiative, cell service project, public safety communication improvements, 911 service. Even on the website, your description. So this is what just is unfathomable to the committee, is that we've been asking for information for almost over a year. And then there's something on the website. There's a whole presentation on the website. Why didn't anyone send us this presentation on the website? Why didn't anyone say to us, oh, you could talk to, there's a whole Cohasset committee that's assembled of police, fire, IT, engineering. why didn't you, any of those people come in and speak with us or say, here, these are the appropriate people for you to speak with? We feel like we've wasted so much time with the town just trying to get an understanding of this project. And it's been drips and drabs and emails back and forth that have gone unanswered. And it's just been an extremely frustrating process as we're trying to really focus on our update of the open space plan. But as I stated, this is something that if the communication was better and if the transparency was better all along, we wouldn't have probably been at this point of doing a citizen petition because we would have been able to have these conversations previously. But there's a clear breakdown in communication that has been happening. And just today, I finally got all of the documents from the town that I was asking for, 5:00 before the meeting. And it's just not respectful to boards, to citizens. It's just not how I think this town should be conducting their business.
Well, I could second that. I don't remember seeing you guys requesting a meeting. I didn't see it.
No.
Because we're happy to put anybody
Yeah, I
on the
haven't seen
agenda.
anything.
And, Michelle?
I mean, I've seen several requests of information. I only had so much information. As procurement, I procure it. As far as the study ahead of time, I don't have any knowledge of that. I wasn't
No, not the
involved.
study, but we haven't missed, I just haven't seen if you come up because I was vice chair for 2 years. I mean, I don't remember.
Yeah, we
I
weren't
apologize for any shortcomings,
information from the town before coming to the board. of selectmen.
but you're saying, and you have every justification to say, but you're chastising the select board for something that they.
No, I'm not chastising the select board. I'm saying that you probably aren't aware of how much we've struggled over the past year and a half.
But I think I did.
Information.
I don't mean to interrupt, but you were there the day we all took that walk up that hill. Rotten day, everybody was slipping. You remember that well. So that process was some time ago. And again, coming in to me, I'm going to say why I would vote for it. It's just for the public safety fact. To me, one life makes that tower untenable. That's just me personally. But I understand your frustration. I just don't, it might be a little misplaced because we don't, we would be glad to have you up in front of us. At any point in time, I can tell you that. There's no one, especially people that volunteer for a town committee when we're trying to get on committees. So thank you for that. And I mean that because look at it, it's just, well, times have changed. A lot of people are working, they're just not getting on committees because it's a time thing. And I get that too. I suffer from it. But I will say this, anytime open space is wanted in front of this board, I can't speak for others in the past. You're welcome. I'm sorry that you feel that it's gotten this far because it's not the intent of this board. And or is trying to ram a tower down anyone's throat without consensus. That I can tell you too. But I do know from the meeting I was at is that they did studies, they looked, and Ron Menard, they came up before, and the consultants looked, and that was just determined to be the best spot. I agree with Ellen. If you don't find the Esposito property suitable, can we look into something that maybe some people can walk without stepping in quicksand? I understand that too. But I'm going to speak personally on the tower. Again, I bounce back to the safety. And I think that every step was taken to mitigate any harm. So they're going to improve some parts of Wheelwright. You asked about funds and things like that, but that's going to widen the trails. It's going to plant new trees, from what I understand. Better parking. So that's a danger zone just backing out of there on Forest. You can get clipped. So that's what I'd ask the committee to think about is just, I do know that they looked at it. Can I tell you any acre that they looked at? The RTF comes up to me. I don't have an answer for you. And for that, I apologize. But the RTF, I remember distinctly being brought up. I remember some other areas being brought up. I can't locate them from memory. But, it was determined that that would reach that person out on the beach. That would reach that person who could not get a cell phone. Whose husband was having a heart attack on Rocky Beach or over on Sandy Beach and had to wait. And so those are the things that scare me. Or our fire trucks getting stuck without a signal, or an ambulance trying to find someone and they can't find them because they don't know where they are. But that's why. And again, I apologize for if crossed wires. I just want to assure you, it wasn't the board ignoring your request for meeting. I can tell you that.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and thank you for your volunteer service as well. And I look forward to more communication about the questions we had and the documents we requested.
Yep, so, just so I have my notes complete. We're going to look at, the revenue stream and see if anything.
Legal counsel.
Okay, so we've already sent it off to legal and so if we can create a revolving fund. For that, we will look at an additional parcel, that is more suitable. And we will look to see if, well, you had other questions, visual pollution tree, how many trees are going to be replaced? 30 are coming down, are all 30 going to be replaced and where are they going?
Wireless Edge had indicated it would be 30 trees, but that's not in writing. And they did tell us verbally at that site visit that they would replace all the trees.
Okay, so that's not a question.
Well, no, I guess the question still is are you replacing the trees within the park, within Wheelwright Park? Are you going to plant 30 trees or are you going to be, funding money to the tree bank to place trees within
Oh,
the community?
I think they left that up to us. If we
Okay.
wanted to plant 30 more trees in the park, or we wanted money in the tree bank to be able to use them elsewhere.
okay. That we can.
And is that
have a
stated
conversation.
in the contract with wireless that?
Okay.
And then, will the cell phone tower be removed when it's obsolete?
Was the Norfolk conveyor radar station, is that removed?
I think it's still
I think it's still there.
We got a request
the rusty
by you to
portions of it, yeah.
requested to take the stairs down
Any more
because
questions?
timing it.
I mean, a lot of times I would say with cell towers, they're not necessarily obsolete. They just replace the equipment on them. And yeah, that's what they do. So they'll have to,
But if we're moving towards satellite and away from cell towers altogether, it could become obsolete in short order.
And to restore the pristine nature of the park. If it's no longer in use, to remove it.
Okay, so I would just encourage you and any other board or committee members that are listening that, if you're not getting a response, I answer every email. Sometimes it's I got your note, I'll get back to you, or thank you for you. But I answer every email. I felt I left it open when I met with you last February of 2025. If you have any questions, reach out to me. emar@cohassetma.gov. I haven't heard anything. And if you're not getting an answer, okay, if you're not getting documents, don't, reach out to one of us and say, can you help me get this? And we will help. I mean, I echo Paul's comments. We're all volunteers and we want to do everything we can to help our volunteers. It's of no use to the community for you to get frustrated over something, right? When you have a big open space plan that you're working on, right?
Right.
Okay.
and I'd say
For a
Speak
small,
with that.
for a small town, it's better to head things off in the past before they escalate. But not you, that's us too. So again, you reach out anytime you'd like.
And I would say before you go, just as Ellen said, I return every email
Mhm.
and every correspondence that I get. Sometimes I call people up if I have their phone number. And then they're surprised. There was, people calling them back. So on this issue, I did not get any correspondence or anything regarding it or ask for me.
Well, if-
And then some of this-
We will.
Yeah, take me up on that.
Yes, we will take you up on it.
But some of the things also happened before I was on the board too, because I wasn't on the board in 2022 when some of this was going. So, yeah.
Okay,
Well, thank you
Thank
for your
you.
time.
great, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so I see Mr. Collins has come. So,
Wait,
huh?
No.
No. Okay, so Mr. Collins is here if he wants to come up for Article 25, the noise control bylaw.
Evening, folks.
Good evening. It's nice to see you in person, not on Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got your citizens petition for the noise control bylaw.
Yep.
So we know what it is. We heard your comments, for both sessions, at both of our meetings. I'm interested, what have you learned in going through this process?
In terms of,
In terms of the use of gasoline powered leaf and debris blowers, have you learned anything that surprised you? Like they use them and we have a noise ordinance and they use them before the.
We have a noise ordinance, but doesn't address that. It says you can't make any noise between 7 o'clock at night and 7 o'clock in the morning. I mean, 8 o'clock at night and 8 o'clock in the morning. That's all that talks about.
Right. I guess I was just trying to come up with an example of they're
Well, I did
before they're being used outside the window of the ordinance.
say that again.
That you're experiencing the noise
Oh, yeah.
outside the window
We need,
between 8 and 8. Thank you.
Sure, all day long, on weekends. I finally asked my neighbors, would you please ask them not to come on Sunday?
Mhm.
You know, you have, there is no way you can enjoy sitting outside and listening to the birds or reading a book or listening to music or having a cup of coffee or whatever it is without being assaulted by noise. Now, it was interesting that 2 times I appeared here, I don't know how many phone calls people say, that's right, I mean, I got 20 signatures. I probably could have even got 100 easily
Mhm.
because it's a commonly held opinion that these things are terribly intrusive. Now, there are 8 towns in the state. I didn't bring the names with me, but the 8 towns in the state that have totally banned gasoline-powered leaf blowers and weed whackers. There are 2 towns, Swampscott and Marblehead, that banned them between Memorial Day and Labor Day. Kind of interesting. My immediate neighbor, on December 23rd, they mow on the grass. Imagine what, and use a leaf blower, blowing all of whatever little clippings. Most of it's totally unnecessary. Now, there are today, moving forward from several years ago, today, there are electrically powered machines that do the same job. Now, any blower, anything that's moving is going to make noise. I mean, this has been my business my whole life, living with noise and understanding how noise goes. So there will be some noise, but it's not going to be the screaming noise from these gasoline engines. And it was reported to me by a number of people. I haven't seen it myself, but they said that 1 hour's use of a leaf blower is equivalent to driving my 150 pickup cross country pollution that it makes. So that's another thing that we don't need. We don't need all this excess air pollution. Reminds me of the story several years ago. The kids were skateboarding down at St. Anthony's Church, and they were using their skateboards going along the granite steps and chipping the granite steps. And I took the kids aside and I talked to them. Told them, oh, it wasn't me. I said, no, it wasn't you. It was all of it. This is incremental. So this is an incremental problem. When I have the 3 neighbors across the street, the immediate next door neighbor to the north, plus all the neighbors on River Road, everybody is overwhelmed with sometimes many 4 of these blowers going at a time. It's just intolerable. We don't need it. And other people that I talked to in town, they all agreed. They all signed on. They said, we agree with you. That when you can't, when I talked to Miss Murray, the lawyer, she said, I didn't realize this. She said, till I started working at home. And I tried to open my window so I could have some fresh air, listen, and the noise from the landscapers, the lawn mowing folks, she had to close the windows up again. So is this what we need? Is this what we need in Cohasset? Do we need to be tormented by all of these? And the issue is going to be, oh my God, it's going to cost us a lot of money. Sure is. Everything costs money. But if they buy a set of batteries or 2 sets of batteries, whatever it takes, once you're not buying gallons and gallons and gallons of gasoline and lube oil to mix in the gasoline. So it's an initial investment. And once that return on investment is recovered, then it's a matter of replacing whatever wears out as it wears out, the same as it does with a gasoline powered machine. You know, as a nuts and bolts engineer, I understand how this stuff works. I just spent 4 hours this morning teaching students at Mass Maritime how to take a diesel engine apart, put it back together again, make it run. So I understand how this stuff works and what it takes to make it go. My opinion is shared by a number of other people in Cohasset. We don't need these things. Let's get rid of them.
Okay. Any questions?
How's that for a speech?
Very good. Any questions?
No.
No?
at this point.
Mr. Grady?
What do you use? I'm now
I
curious.
use a rake and a broom.
Okay, so that's a good way to do it. But what would say, you know, I understand that, because you can open your window, you hear a leaf blower, but I'll bang around.
Speak up, I can barely hear you.
Am I on? Oh, okay.
That's my problem. I'm half deaf, so from using machinery.
I'm using machinery. Like I use a leaf blower in my back area, in my yard, I do, but I do limit to daylight hours, preferably afternoon. People just settle in, not late afternoon. But what would your group say if it was done that? I mean, I understand it can drive you crazy. See people out there hammering away, plowing away with lawnmowers, leaf blowers, weed cutters, daylight saving. So after, say, 7 o'clock, they're sitting there banging away till 8:30. Absolutely ridiculous. I agree with you. But to me, we have the noise ordinance. Maybe what would you guys think about more, stringent enforcement than
But I don't know, as I read the noise ordinance, it didn't say anything about that.
is that something
Well,
that,
it has to be reported to, where'd Michelle go?
but I agree with what Fran's saying. If it's,
But
are
I
we
don't,
able to expand that? If it doesn't say it, oh, you can't say it because, I don't disagree with that because let's say noise ordinance only has to do with lawnmowers and hammering nails, and I'm being hypothetical. If it doesn't say leaf blowers, if it doesn't say weed whackers, someone can tell you jump in a lake. It's not part of it. It's not part of it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Now, would we, if this is the case, be able to tweak that? And
I think, I would have to look it up. I don't think it was specific to
Anything.
a type of noise. It was specific to the decibel level of the noise and the window of time. And I think what Mr. Collins has described as a recurring situation is it's not one guy with a leaf blower. It's the 4 at the same time.
No.
They're all over the place.
They're all
I mean, how often you drive around town and you have to go around these huge trailers
Yep,
and these big brand new trucks?
yep.
No, there's nobody with an old
Okay,
72 Chevy pickup truck and a Craftsman lawnmower in the back of it anymore. This is big business.
yep. Okay, so you're going to.
Oh, excuse me, one more thing.
Sure.
Most of the people who have hired these landscapers, they call themselves lawnmower folks, they're not home.
Oh,
They were all off working somewhere, so they have no idea what a nuisance this is for the neighbors and neighborhood.
yeah.
So my feeling is that if it's not allowed, no longer a problem. If we say, well, you can do it now, but you can't do it then. I had one of the people across the street here this summer. It was 7:30 and they were still out there blowing leaves and mowing. I said, oh, hey guys, you're supposed to stop at 7. So just finish up now, would you please, and go along. And they did, and they wasn't a problem again.
Well, I think too, I mean, the noise ordinance law, it's only a year and a half old, so does take people, in a friendly, hey,
Yeah.
stop at 7, said it's not a problem. So you're gonna go to advisory tomorrow night?
Yep.
Correct? So we will wait and hear their deliberation on the topic before we make our vote
Okay.
for a recommendation or not to town meeting.
This didn't take long.
No. All right, thanks very
thanks so
much.
much.
All right, folks. Yep. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Chapter 91, Article 11.
Article 11.
This is just perfunctory, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so we do this every town meeting. Chapter 91 liability.
The harbor, so that's,
Yep.
and the article now 15 is the water rate structure.
Mhm.
I don't know if, Chris Pratt is online or,
I saw. Yeah.
When this gets printed,
it won't.
yeah, it'll be on one page. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for waiting. So we just got to Article 15, the water rate structure. If you want to first introduce yourself and then just take us through this.
Sure. Chris Pratt, King Street. I'm the chair of the Water Commission. And So our current 5-year rate structure is up at the end of this fiscal year, 26. So we'll be introducing a new 5-year rate structure beginning in fiscal 27.
Okay. Do you know off the top of your head where we're ending on FY 26?
Where we're ending in terms of,
In terms of the rate, because I'm just looking at this first table, you're proposing FY 27 at 203 for up to 1 inch. So
correct.
in
So
FY 26, were we at 197 or something?
195.
195, okay. Thank you.
So it's approximately a 4% increase from current rates. It's a approximately 4% increase in subsequent years.
Okay.
But to your point, the majority of ratepayers do have the 1 inch meter. The vast
Okay.
majority.
Right, okay. And is this rate chart, does it keep pace with costs to the best of your ability?
Barely. Barely. So we were choosing for a steady increase over the course of the 5 years versus steeper rate increases in later years. This just about keeps pace with what we're seeing for increased operating costs and helps us lay the foundation for our future capital investments.
Okay. Okay. Anyone have any questions?
No, I don't.
Very straightforward.
Nope, very straightforward. So, thank you. Thank you for your patience waiting for us. And you'll have someone prepared to discuss this at town meeting?
Yes, I will be there.
Okay, great.
I'm actually
Okay.
going to give a presentation, so I'll coordinate that with Kevin or whomever. But I'll be planning to give a short presentation, introducing our rates and a little bit of information and overview of the water department and our future plans for capital investments.
Okay. That sounds terrific. Just a word of forewarning that the town moderator likes to keep presentations and speakers to 5 minutes.
Okay.
So he'll give you you're at the 4-minute mark.
Okay, that'll work just
Am I
fine.
lying?
Yeah.
And I love him. He's a great moderator, but just as you begin to coalesce your presentation, just keep that in mind. I personally don't care, but I don't run the meeting. So,
Understood. Thank you.
okay. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Yep. Oh,
The next article is Article 16, and that is the Elm Street design. And the purpose of this article, as stated last week, was to have a placeholder here for the design of 62 Elm Street for when the police potentially move out of there. And this would become the main fire station and fire station only. Currently, there's no design money available to redesign 62 Elm Street, and this placeholder would allow for some schematic design of this facility.
Okay, so Elm Street, even though we have a placeholder, but the way it was left, it's going to be the fire department up to and possibly including other town offices, not fire department solely.
That's correct.
But we have the room. We still have the room over there, right, John?
I don't know. We have to relook at it because if it's now going to be just one fire station, we need to add bays. And where we weren't going to add bays, we're going to now have to repurpose that area somewhere else in the building. So I don't know how much space will be left for another town office. Because if we're just going to operate on one fire station, then we're going to probably repurpose 95% of that building for fire department. Like I said, because we did add bays.
but what do you use now?
What's that?
What do you use? Why don't you come up, John, Chief Dockery, if you don't mind?
Well, we're cramped in there right now. And
But we're not increasing our ambulance, increasing our,
no, but we don't have an ambulance under our roof, a second ambulance to
right, so,
Yeah.
so that's,
staff,
Fun.
right? So that's that.
yeah,
Also, we don't have meeting space. We don't have space for the workout equipment that's on the apparatus floor.
Yep.
We don't have proper decon for fire department gear and fire department equipment and for fire department personnel. And also, we're keeping gear on the apparatus floor that gets contaminated with diesel exhaust. So we need to create space for the gear that we wear, the firefighters wear, that's in a separate space that won't be contaminated by the exhaust of the diesel fumes. So we need, and plus, we don't have enough storage space for our EMS equipment. And our decon area that's in the basement of the fire station needs to come out of that basement, because that basement does not have adequate ventilation. And we've had 2 major sewer backups in that basement, and they weren't because of us.
right.
They were because of another piece of property. So we need to reconfigure the space, that the space is safe and livable for all the firefighters in that building.
Okay, but that's, we did talk about that a long time ago. And, you know, everything was brought up in the design that had safe harbor and IT, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but again,
That, at that point in time, that addressed all your needs. So again, you know, I've seen the guys at the, it's great. And so what's changed?
what's changed is now that we probably won't, right now they're looking at not building a 2-bay station at 135 King Street. You know, they're looking at cost to reduce the cost of 135 King Street is to reduce 2 bays of the fire station.
Well, I don't think it's because of cost. It's also because logistics is going by what the guys are saying they don't need it. And
Well,
I'll just call a spade a spade. They're saying they don't need it. And that's what came up. And we got that late in the game, as you know. We don't need that area. We're content where we are. We need some improvements. And no one's stronger on that than yours truly. You know that.
right.
But we've got to also listen to the town as well and not shortchange the fire, police,
Right.
any one of you guys are too
Right.
important. I'm saying that with an emphasis, but we've got to think within the lines of what the town's going to carry. And so to me, Elm Street at the point in time we came with the initial schematic,
Right.
not finally, not finished, but everybody seemed really pleased with the Elm Street design as it stood, which left a piece of the old police station off. All right. And then the guys were saying that they were happy with it. I mean, I'd love to personally have them come in and let's, sit down. We'll all sit down in a group and say, guys, what are we going to do to get this over the goal line?
Correct. But again, the schematic that was designed for Elm Street was also part of the design for 135 King Street. So now 135 King Street may not be in play. So we're losing 2 bays that we initially thought we were going to build at 135 King Street. So now we need to build those 2 bays at Elm Street. Because again, our second ambulance is not under our roof. We can't control it. We can't spin it up within 30 seconds. It takes us a half an hour to
So we
spin.
know that.
So that's one of the issues.
Oh.
So that would help improve service to the community. If we had all our equipment under our single roof.
It's really only, you're saying 2 bays on King Street. So you have to build 2 bays on Elm Street, but it's really only 1 bay for the ambulance because all of your other heavy equipment is already on Elm Street.
Right. We also have a boat that we have a rigid inflatable boat that's 30 years old. And it's stored outside because I don't have any room inside, but I can't replace it because in the wintertime it gets deflated. So that's another piece of equipment we need to tuck into Elm Street.
Okay, so that's new. I've never heard that one before. So I think I like Paul's suggestion, John, because Chief Dockery, I'm sorry. I would like to get a informal conversation going because, as you know, I was down at the station, met with some of your
Correct.
staff.
Yeah.
And it's a little different than some of what I've heard before. And when I sat down with you and Mr. Senior last summer and went through the schematics. So I just need personally speaking for myself, I need clarity on final needs, final staffing. I think we all need to come together before this town meeting and say, this is the plan. Okay, because I'm personally very confused and I am not going to the public safety meetings. I admit that. I work full-time out of town. I can't get to them. I just can't. And that's why we have, we have representatives there. But I'm just very, very confused out on the evolution of Elm Street, King Street, with bays, without bays, with staffing, without staffing, staffed from 8 to, I'm confused. So I would like, Michelle, if we could just, I will take a day off from work to come.
I will too.
That's fine. I mean, that's great. There's
Because I think we all need to get in.
a lot of people that are getting into this pot and the information is not
That's just it, chief. It's getting disseminated.
disseminated in different ways.
Yeah.
So we need to have a meeting.
Right. I'm all for that because I got called out personally.
That's right. And
On an email that I understand was also blind copy to the entire police department. So, but
Okay.
yeah, so I would just like to get everything on the table. I'm not against doing what we need to do on Elm Street. I don't want you to get that impression. I just need to understand what it is. And
Right.
it needs to be, we need to get to a final answer.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
so you said it yourself, chief. So again, information goes out, like that's why it was pulled from the last town meeting because things came in late in the game. All of a sudden, like, where'd that come from? So it's, or that it was as chief. There was some blindsiding. And
Correct.
and so when we approach the town, we've got to be in lockstep. That's the most important thing is we're coming at it that police, fire, police, town are united in what we're presenting the town. And it's not a shell game because it didn't get that last minute. Well, that's not what we want because no one's talked to us. Got to stop that. It's got to be a team effort going in.
I'm going to completely agree with you because not only am I fire chief, I'm also a resident of this community.
All right.
Okay. So I know what we need to do to serve this community.
Yep.
Okay. And I've lived it for 30 plus years. Okay. And I've seen this department evolve for 30 plus years. Okay. And we also need to improve the building we operate out of to provide the services to the community and make it a safe and habitable place
We'll never get an
Firefighters.
3 minutes.
to operate
How's
also.
that?
Right. So, and the other thing too is we need to also look at the future, of this town and what's the town going to look like maybe in 10, 20 years? What kind of services are we going to need to provide for the community then? Because
House will be 4 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even something as, far off, we all think beyond our lifetimes, but the 50-year flood happening sooner than that and makes Elm Street, your facility, an island, where you can't provide services from. Unfortunately, that's a reality, so we
Right.
also have to think about, to your point about, the future and what does that mean? But I think if I've learned anything in my time on the select board is if we don't have every answer question, to Paul's point, all of us in agreement in the final project. And what most people want to know is, what is it going to cost me on my taxes? And so I feel like we got town hall through because there was no increase on taxes because we're bonding some money out of capital budget and we're getting money from CPC and we're doing not a gut rehab. We're fixing mechanicals. We're making it habitable and safe the way you want to make your facility habitable and safe. And that's a model that seems to work. I had conversation, and I told your men this, with Katie Dugan at the time, who was on Capital. And she said these $5 million projects are things that Capital can entertain because through debt service. And I'm not saying this is a $5 million project, but we have to understand what it's going to cost people, because we also have a very large voting contingency who, are on fixed incomes and don't qualify. Reading through the warrant and what you have to make to get a variance. So that's the wrong word, but to get a what's the word on your taxes?
Abatement.
An abatement or a deferment of your taxes. Some of that number is some people's tax bill. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how we skin this cat, but we really have to be thoughtful about it.
I would say that one of the things that we need is the regulations and best practices of what is needed for the storage of all the vehicles. So in other words, the boat, the engines, the ambulance, what does the regulation say? And then in absence of that or more, what is the best practice, under firefighting?
Mhm.
And that will help guide us as to what is really needed. Because my guess is that there's going to be different standards for the different vehicles. They're not all going to be the same. I could be wrong, but my guess is that a boat is going to be different from an ambulance, from a fire truck, because the ambulance is going to have, drugs in it or things like that. The
Correct.
boat
Ambulance has to be stored in a conditioned space.
Yeah. But some might not.
Aerospace and public.
Pure air conditioned, it has to,
Yeah.
in a conditioned space, because the drugs, the engine and all that stuff. So it has to be ready to go on a moment's notice.
But it's got to be in a public safety building.
Correct.
That I understand.
Yeah.
So I think sorry, Dave.
But I think we're going to need that for all the equipment. So whether it's the forestry truck or the all of it, because then that sets the standard. Okay, this has to go here. This has to go there. We might not have to build onto the building, but you might be able to do some kind of modular thing or something something can be stored in effectively to keep the equipment potentially. But that's what we'll need. That sets the standards on what's needed.
I mean, the only thing is the footprint at Elm Street is very tight. We have a 64 unit housing complex behind us
Yep.
that has a busy driveway all day long. We have group homes next to us, again, that use the busy driveway. So for us to expand backwards or even out the side is tough because the footprint,
Yeah.
we're beyond what we can do there. So.
All right, so we'll coordinate. I'm sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
So with the warrant closing in just a few weeks,
Oh, goodness, right.
right? I'm just concerned that we're not going to have the information that we're looking for this article.
Unless we step it up and we get to meet with the chief and the guys. At least we might be able to come out on track.
Are any of the firefighters online?
A lot of iPhones.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of tough to.
So I mean, if they were willing to entertain it sooner than later.
Right.
No, that's all, is get on one. We're not going to get anywhere unless we're all on the same page. We've seen that battle and we've lost. So I'd leave it at that, because you have our support.
Mm-hmm.
The fire department has our full support, always have.
Yeah.
But we want to see this over the goal line. And
Correct.
we gotta make some changes, as you said it yourself, plan for the future. And there may be some gives and some takes. I'm going to be completely blunt about that. If we are, as Ellen said, when Mr. Baumgarten came up and made his presentation, that was food for thought. And I said to Ellen, the last time I looked, our fire trucks aren't Chitty Bang Bang. They don't float on water.
Correct.
And so, we've got to have contingency for that. God forbid it turns Elm Street into an island for a short period of time. And
So the article is for design. So it's not Elm Street design placeholder. Is it the design itself, or is it the allocation of funding to do a design?
Allocation of funding to do it.
Okay. And do we have a number for that?
No, because we don't know what we're designing. If it's a simple design, it's gonna cost less than if it's a comprehensive design of the entire.
So can you structure the article to say no more than, because I think and forgive me if I'm remembering incorrectly, for 135 King Street, it was like, well, we're gonna need 200, then we're gonna need 800. So, I mean, can you structure the article to say no more than this amount? And just ask, the working group or the facilities committee to say, well, what do you think? I mean,
The reality is it's a tight site where the fire station
Yeah,
are currently.
yeah.
Helen, you're not going up because there's no structural engineer who's going to put their insurance on the line to go up on that building that's built in 1960.
Right.
So that's out. So there might be a potential bump out. There might be, something for equipment, but for the most part, it's going to be walls in.
7.
For the most part. So I think that contains the price as far as what the design's going to be. Whereas if you had other areas that you could do more expansion or something like that, it might be a different story. But in this site, I don't think that's possible. So, like I said, minus something to house some piece of equipment outside. I don't know how much expansion you're going to get on that building. I don't think there is going to be. I think it's all mostly walls in. But we'll see.
I think if we can schedule a sit down, and that's all right with you, Chief?
I'm fine. We all have to be
That might help us with the design. That might help us with the design. If we have a clear path to follow.
I'd like to ask the chief to schedule that. So it's gonna be difficult.
No, I'm not asking you to schedule that.
okay.
I'm just speaking to you.
Um,
But if we could schedule it, Chief, I think that would be great.
Yeah. When's the deadline, Michelle?
well, the deadline is the end of the month for this, but if we can at least have a conversation. Next week, Ellen's away, so that's gonna be challenging, but.
I can call in.
I can be there. Make it a point.
How do I say this? I don't want to be a decision maker, 1 bay, 2 bay, decamp, no, Jim, yes, no. I don't think that's my role to do that. My role is to make sure that we have a cohesive, solidified plan. And if the experts say, this is what we need, it's not up to me to say, I think you're wrong, because I'm not an expert, right? So I just want to be able to articulate the argument, present the argument, and sell the argument.
I would.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just heard from Brad Hupney, president of the union.
Mhm.
And he said he's willing to sit down at any point at your earliest convenience.
Okay.
So there you go.
So, to make it maybe to dovetail off Ellen and tell Brad, please, thank you.
Go ahead.
Maybe if you sit with your team, you guys sit and then we meet and say, we've come up with what we really need. I'm just trying to help get this in. If you guys sit, because again, if it's the impression is one team is doing one and Chief's doing his thing, the guys doing it. So it's so nice to hear it all together. And there's no accusations there. I just think communication is being lost someplace. I don't know where. That's all. It's not coming from the fire. It's just, we have this big committee. And so then you hear different voices. And I think that's what sends us down different paths.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Great.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for waiting. Okay. Next up, wastewater treatment plant system system upgrades design authorization to bond. So, discussion vote, we're not voting tonight.
Yeah, we're not voting on this tonight.
Okay.
It's something the capital budget has already heard, and I'm sorry, advisory has already heard. Advisory has already voted on this article, so you could vote if you so wish.
What was the advisory vote?
8-0.
8-0. Okay.
And it's to authorize a bond for up to $1 million to complete designs for the wastewater treatment plant upgrades. I know there were some concerns. I received some emails about the town funding this upgrade. And I think it's just important to note that this is gonna be paid by the ratepayers that actually have sewer. So if you're not on sewer, this won't impact you.
Oh. Why wouldn't this come out of their enterprise fund?
It does.
It does. It does.
Oh,
But they still need the authorization to bond it.
okay, oh,
No, people,
It will be paid back through their enterprise fund.
no, people were questioning that with like an article like this is vis-a-vis the schools or other issues in town. Of saying, I hope it comes just from the ratepayers and other people in town, or how, so the sewer things come from the ratepayers because it's in an enterprise fund. And that's one of the reasons you have an enterprise fund. So that the people who
Yeah.
use that service, it actually comes out.
Right.
We know that, but people out there don't know.
no,
that.
I misunderstood what Michelle said, because she
Yeah.
said, well, the ratepayers, so I immediately think of a betterment on my water sewer bill for this and I'm like, well, why wouldn't it come out of the enterprise fund? But it is, it's just the language. Yeah, okay. All right. Authorization for construction will be at a subsequent town meeting when designs and construction estimates are completed, to take any other action related thereto. Okay, does anyone have any questions on this?
No.
No? Okay, so advisory voted 8-0. I think that's a pretty strong vote. So we can vote this tonight, Michelle.
You can.
Yep, so can I have a motion to approve Article 17 wastewater treatment?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. You have to accept the article before you can vote the article. So you need to accept and
We have to accept
you
it.
haven't accepted any of these articles.
Okay. Okay. Can I have a motion to accept Article 17 wastewater treatment plant system upgrades and design?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay, may I have a motion to recommend to town meeting floor Article 17?
So moved.
May I have a second?
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Okay. Yep, okay. Creation of revolving fund for cemetery fee. I thought we did this.
We did it.
There's two revolving funds to preference.
Oh, okay.
Glen Park, King Street. So the cemetery department is working.
Yep, it's on,
It's on.
yep, the red light.
The cemetery department has three sources of income. One is sale of graves. That money goes into the sale of graves account. 25% of the amount we get for selling a grave by state statute has to do a perpetual care account, which it does. And then we have fees that we charge the funeral homes and the people who own the graves when they're buried. We have to dig the grave. We have to be on hand when the service is taking place. We have to fill the grave in, work with the vault company. And so there's about 18 hours of work that goes into that, which we have got fees for, which you approved a few months ago, which is helpful. And we also build and install the foundations for the monuments. So the money that we get for what we call fees, which is the opening and closing the graves, building monument foundations and like that, currently goes back into the general fund. And so what we're asking here is to have a revolving fund so that that money, which over the last few years has averaged around $35,000 a year, can go into the cemetery account and we can use it for regular maintenance. We 3 years ago started contracting out the grass cutting and mowing and landscaping, which is working fabulously. That money, because it's consistent, the contractors are every week and they don't get delayed because of rain or services and burials and, vacations and all those things like that happen with our own staff. So we've been taking money, transferring it the last 3 years out of Sale of Graves account, well, lawn maintenance. Sale of Graves account is not going to keep up with that forever. So we feel if we can have this revolving fund of about $35,000 a year, we'll always have a fallback if the Sale of Graves account doesn't have enough to fund the grass cutting. We can't use perpetual care money to cut the grass. That has to be longer capital projects and long-term upkeep of the cemetery, which we come in periodically and talk to you about transferring some money to us from the perpetual care accounts. And it works well. So we are asking for this revolving fund to be set up so those funds can come to us, come to the cemetery department.
Okay. So Michelle, maybe a point of order is Article 9 allocates money from the fund cemetery maintenance account of $75,000. I'm sorry, action projects, fund cemetery maintenance, $75,000 from the cemetery sale of graves fund to cemetery maintenance account.
Right, that's cutting the grass.
So shouldn't Article 18 come before this article? Because we have to create the fund before we can move the money to it?
No, we already have the sale of graves account.
That account's already set.
That's been funded for me.
Right, right, no, I'm saying it's from the cemetery sale of graves fund, so we have that, right, in Article 9. 2, cemetery maintenance accounts.
Correct.
75,000. Now, is the cemetery maintenance account the revolving fund that we're looking to create in Article 18?
No. Cemetery maintenance is one of their operating line items in their budget. We transfer that over to them, and for that, we use the landscaping grass cutting service,
Okay,
contracted service.
Did they,
This money would be available to the cemetery department instead of going back to the general fund.
okay.
So,
they use leaf blowers and weed whackers?
they do. They have to, yeah,
You get complaints from the residents
not so much.
so much.
I would just, I'm in favor of things that make everything easier. I just think it's confusing. Article 18, allowed expenses, cemetery maintenance, cemetery supplies.
Well, the supplies is because if we are building a foundation for a monument, we have to buy rebar and cement and those kind of things. So we wanted to be certain that would be covered.
Okay, but then Article 9 is fund cemetery maintenance. I'm just saying, I think we need to make it clear and delineate that the two articles are not connected. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Don't use
It's very
Don't
confusing.
use the word maintenance twice, I guess is probably what's gonna.
Yeah, because it says Article 9, fund cemetery maintenance,
Mhm.
and then Article 18, cemetery maintenance. So it's 75,000 and it's 75,000.
Well, 75,000 is the maximum for the revolving fund.
I understand that. So this would say we're moving the maximum into that account, but they're completely different. So
Right,
the language really needs some clarity.
right.
I guess one question I have is do the costs right now, before we set up this account, are the costs north of what we're bringing in or have to move over? In other words, what is the cost for the per year for all the maintenance that this is?
So right now, this will be the second year where we've had all 4 cemeteries done by contract service, and the grass cutting is $75,000.
Okay.
Maybe go up or down a little bit depending upon the weather or something like that.
And so going forward, this would eat into it.
And we've been able to take the money from sale of graves because it started out with a large balance. But we only sell about 30 graves a year.
Yeah.
And at $2,500, take the 25% off of potential care, it eventually isn't going to be able to support it all. So we're looking for this other source.
Is the cemetery sale of graves fund, is that a revolving fund?
No. That has to be transferred by town meeting vote for part of the budget.
It's a one-time cost allocation.
It's a one-time, okay. But so should it be part of Article 10, annual spending limits?
I think it's just an allocation of the fund.
Okay, okay. All right. I don't mean to make it more complicated, but they're all kind of interwoven.
Yeah, there's something about that article with sale of graves account that says move by vote at town meetings like that.
Okay.
Not in there, but in the.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
So
All right.
once Article 18 is adopted,
Yep.
then it'll move into this category in the following years, because that's your spending limits.
But it's your discretion to move it, raise and move by the town manager. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
We'll revise the language and resend it.
Make it work.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, amendment to Cohasset bylaw, chapter 244, article 2, section 224-2. This is article 21.
We have the town clerk on.
I'm here, if you can hear me, but my camera's not working. I'm having
Hi.
technical problems.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for waiting.
Sure. No problem at all. So this
Okay.
warrant article is from an existing general regulatory bylaw. It's regarding town parking lots, the parking permit required to park there, and where the permits are valid. So we had a little bit of contradictory language here. So the effort is really just to clean up the language and tweak the article a little bit. In 242-2, we solidified the residency requirement for the issuance of the facility permits. There's some text in there that potentially leaves us exposed as a community by allowing an unlimited potential of people to be able to access to the beach, basically, park at the beach if they owned real estate. Kind of a situation similar to the Sandy Cove scenario, if you're familiar with that. So it's my suggestion to eliminate that text or who owns real estate within the town. And we just leave it that you have to be a resident or a summer resident. The second part, 244-4, that's just to clarify the where the parking areas are, the parking by permit only areas are, and that includes the addition of Wadley Park. That was not listed in the bylaw. And then the third portion of that on 244-4 is to establish the criteria for the issuance of non-resident government island parking permits. That verbiage was supplied by the harbor master, and that basically just gives concrete criteria for the issuance of the non-resident government island parking permits. They will be issued to sailing club employees and mooring holders, excluding any contractual transient moorings. And that's it. And all that verbiage brings it in line with the select board rules and regulations for the sale of the all facilities permits that we approved last month at the select board meeting.
Yep.
Basically housekeeping.
Yes.
Okay. And the last part of 244-4, non-resident government island parking permits. So there's a very clear delineation that it's a government island parking permit only, not Parker Avenue, not Sandy Beach, not Wadley Park.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
So the harbor master provides a list of people who are meet the criteria for a non-resident government island parking permit. That's correct.
Okay.
It's a separate permit. It's not an all facilities permit for residents. It's a non-resident government island parking permit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It does seem pretty straightforward.
Yes. And it's the bylaw itself is fairly old, and I think every few years it had been modified, and so we're just kind of bringing it to present day as things change in those areas.
Okay.
Perhaps someday we'll want to rewrite the whole thing, but I thought it was best just to tweak it, to make it make sense for now.
Okay. All right, great.
Super.
Thanks very much. Thank you for waiting.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. All right, so that takes us through the warrant. After advisory, we'll be ready to vote. So now, budget.
Budget. So once again, there's still a couple of items outstanding here. We hope to have them refined as soon as the end of this week to be able to present you with a balanced budget for you to vote on when you vote on all the other items. This is Appendix A. This is what everyone's used to seeing in the warrant. So I just want to go through some of the items again. I think we've all seen the administrative services. And if you want to stop on any of these line items, please let me know. But the administrative services total is equal to $4.6 million. A slight increase over last year's budget. We have the public safety line items, which include police, fire, building commissioner, emergency management, harbor master, and shelter constable. There's a slight increase over last year's budget. For this 8.23%, partially driven by fire and police. The
building commissioner is correct.
The building commissioner is correct. So town meeting last year, we created a revolving account to account for some of the expenses that go in and out of that department.
Okay,
So that line item has been reduced.
Okay.
Using the revolving.
thank you.
Just had a quick question on the police and fire. What is, so people under home can understand, what are the drivers of the increases in those budgets?
So the police budget has a driver. It has the Shrek budget in there, which is our regional dispatch center, which went up $100,000. That is in the police budget. Something else that is in the police budget also is the SRO officers that are dedicated to the schools. They don't contribute to the increase, but they are in there, but pay for a different line item. As far as fire, the increase is strictly union negotiations, and that also contributes to some of the police increase as well. This was their year for new union contracts. They've all been negotiated, and there are the increases that were negotiated.
Great, thank you.
The next line item is educational services. We have the Cohasset Schools budget at $26 million. The school support officers at $201,000. South Shore VOTEC, we've seen an increase due to the higher enrollment count at $274,000 for a total of $26.4 million, which represents about a 4.7% increase.
On, Michelle, not part of this budget, but when will we get some hard data on our expected contribution to the new South Shore VOTEC building?
We should have that. There's some preliminary data out there. I don't think we're gonna actually have any hard data on that until probably April.
Okay, but there's nothing we're going to have to do at town meeting.
There's nothing to be done at town meeting. The only thing that has to do with the South Shore VOTEC is that warrant article that accepts
Right.
a new school district.
Pembroke, I think,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
The additional borrowing money would be for FY 28 and beyond.
okay.
But if I'm not mistaken, and just correct me, on the South Shore VOTEC, it's my understanding that Marshfield is out of the VOTEC, if that's correct.
I've not heard that officially. I've heard rumblings that perhaps they were looking to pull out of the agreement.
So they're not out yet, but they might be moving towards that.
There's some discussion of that.
Okay, and then Pembroke wants in.
Correct.
Okay, and that's going to be on the town meeting article.
Correct. The health and welfare line items, Board of Health, you see an increase there, Elder Affairs. Slight increase in Veteran Services has come down. There is a line item that's been carried over in their budget for many years that just has, after speaking to the veterans agent, he doesn't need to carry any longer, so he's giving that back.
Because it never gets expended.
Never, yeah. The next is Culture and Recreation. You have the library with a slight increase. You'll see a slight decrease in recreation, and the reason for that is a percentage of the recreation salaries. A percentage of the recreation salaries are going into the shared budget or indirect cost, I will say. We're taking an indirect cost from the recreation budget because they're a revolving account. So we were able to decrease the expense here, but we're going to allocate it towards field maintenance elsewhere. That's why you see that decrease. It's like historic preservation hasn't changed. Common Historic Commission has not changed. Debt service slightly lower. And these are the line items, I think, Ellen, that you were referring to last week that, we have very little control over. And those are the pension assessments, workers' compensation, unemployment, health insurance, life insurance, Medicare tax, property and liability insurance. The only line item there that I see that we're still waiting on is that property and liability insurance number. So there could be a fluctuation in that. But we anticipate that coming in soon this midweek, so tomorrow.
So is the health insurance locked in at this point or?
It's pretty locked.
Okay.
Yep.
And what,
With or without deductibles?
do you know what the increase was percentage wise for this year?
Um,
7.5 on 7.2.
Yeah, I'll do my math, but yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
5% now.
And then the enterprise funds are highlighted. I believe the sewer enterprise fund was adopted. I don't know if the water enterprise fund was adopted just yet, so those are highlighted. I just want to fact check those numbers before.
So on a $58.7 million budget, benefits and insurance are 12.5 million,
That's correct.
which is 20%.
Gross.
Right. Okay. All right, we'll keep plugging away.
By the way, we should have the final balance budget, at our next meeting.
Okay. Great. Do you have any questions, David?
No, I
No.
don't think so at
Okay.
this point.
Yeah. Any questions?
One comment, someone said SRO is shown 6 lines below under education now. I think that's referring to what Michelle was talking about.
Yeah.
Here, so. Please.
Yeah, the SRO was always above the line.
It's how it's paid for. If I'm not mistaken, part of the actual police budget. I'll have to look into that. Let me look into that number.
Okay. Okay. Any questions on the budget, Paul?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay,
Anything else out there? Or is that it?
that's it. Anyone in the audience? Anyone? No? No comments? Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, town manager update.
Just two things. We just want to congratulate Michael Lopes, Lieutenant Lopes. He received the Black Excellence on the Hill Award. That award is it's a prestigious award recognized for his leadership, dedication, and impact in our community. It reflects his continued commitment, advancing in strengthening communities and leading with excellence. So congratulations, Mike.
Congratulations, yeah. He was our first SRO. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. The next highlight will be to congratulate Ted Carroll, our recreation director. He was the recipient of the 2026 Mass Recreation and Park Association's Peter C. and Eric W. O'Brien Humanitarian Award. This is the highest honor bestowed by the MRPA and recognizes park and recreational professionals who demonstrate their advancement of the park and recreation industry. So congratulations to Ted as well.
Great. Okay, select board comments? Do you want to start, Mr. Grady?
Just a quick one. I would second that. Congratulations to Michael Lopes. That's fantastic, and that's incredible. Congratulations.
He has hundreds of comments on Facebook.
Yeah, great guy.
Okay, Mr. Farag?
And I'll just be brief. I just want to, again, thank people who earn those awards in the town for all their great work. And from all the articles that you see that we're going over and finishing up, which will, of course, be in everybody's mailbox coming up very soon as we get to town meeting. The general question that there's going to be at town meeting, when you look at all the articles, whether they be for water, sewer, police station, and otherwise, it's gonna really come down to whether we're gonna move the town forward and our services forward into the 21st century, or whether we're gonna argue to hold the town back into the 19th and 20th century. And that's what it's gonna come down to. We have, as a small town, as I've said before, we can't control the ocean, but we can navigate on it. And when we do, we have to make the strategic investments where they're needed in order to keep up the services that everybody depends on, whether they be the schools, whether they be fire, the police, or all the other services that are in town. And this is going to be most likely a watershed moment for the town at town meeting of the directions this town goes. And we can either navigate the issues that are around us that every town is dealing with. The town is, generally a number of issues in good shape. The building that we're in, Wilcott Commons, as you know, the senior center, which was built and done back in around 215. You can look at the town next to us. They're looking in Hingham to build a senior center for $29 million. And so as they stand today, they still generally don't have one, and we get to enjoy the one that we built over 10 years ago. And back then, the same arguments that you heard or will hear at town meeting will be the same things that you heard about Wilcott Commons, about town hall, but everything else, it's too big. It's a Taj Mahal. Who's going to use it? These are all the same arguments that have been used time and time again. But if we build them, we want to build our town buildings as efficiently as possible, look them over, but at that point, we have to execute and make those strategic choices for the future of not only ourselves, but our children and grandchildren going forward. So that's what will be there at town meeting for everybody. This town meeting and the next couple town meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have no comments. We don't have any topics not reasonably anticipated. We have no minutes to approve. Our next meeting has been moved from Tuesday, March 17th to Thursday, March 19th at 7:30 p.m. Because I will have a quorum then. Just so everyone knows if they were. Oh, it's Paul's birthday. We'll have a cake. Didn't have a cake on my birthday, but okay. So that's it. So can I have a motion to adjourn at 8:56 p.m.?
But it will be a non-taxpayer funded cake. That's
I'm going to bake it. No, actually, I'm not going to be here.
That's right. You won't be.
I'm going to be on Zoom. I'm going to be on Zoom. Okay. So Mr. Grady made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are 1 minute off schedule.
David,